Today's top stories in the News Roundup.
To overcome despair.
Now's not the time for fear. That comes later.
First, conquer chaos.
This town deserves a better class of criminal.
Saturday, Nespresso Special, The Dark Knight on Pearl's Dark Knight Trilogy.
This is a good time to tell you why the chair at Direct Asia matters. A good chair means no back problems for your personal claims specialist. That matters because she can focus on you.
Don't worry, I will handle your claim from start to finish.
A personal claims specialist focus means no long calls repeating case details, and that matters for a faster and happier claim settlement. That's why the chair at Direct Asia matters. Get a quote today. Direct Asia Insurance, where happier matters.
Tony，我係咪上盤啊？我嘅煙花景無唔無敵啊！
你話我豪唔豪先？
你咁浪漫，我條褲要爆啦！
冇錯，係逼爆樓盤資料庫，土地問題 Tody 解答。明白冇啊？上網 search 中聯網頁啦。
Why fly without Wi-Fi? We're reinventing airplane mode. American Airlines. We're going for great.
為你介紹康盈樂，為不同年齡度身調配，特有3重功效系統，配合你關注活動自如、心臟健康及醒目護腦，感受內在年輕。康盈樂。
Grand Calendar, a big new day to start. Doxa, since 1889.
唔該晒。辛苦晒。香港係我哋嘅屋企，保持自己屋企清潔，養成好習慣，個個都中意。全城清潔好習慣，人人讚。
Xi Jinping and Ma Ying-jeou to meet in Singapore. A new legal challenge against the third runway project. And Hong Kong warns about traveling to the Maldives amid a 30-day state of emergency there. Good evening. A landmark meeting will be held this Saturday in Singapore between top cross-Taiwan Strait leaders Xi Jinping and Ma Ying-jeou. It will be the first such talks between leaders of the two rivals since the Chinese Civil War ended in 1949. As Dianto reports, analysts see strong significance in the timing of this meeting, which comes ahead of Taiwan's presidential election in January.
Xi Jinping and Ma Ying-jeou will make history on Saturday. According to the state-run Xinhua news agency, the head of the mainland's Taiwan Affairs Office, Zhang Jijun, said the leaders will exchange views on promoting the peaceful development of cross-strait relations. Zhang pointed out that Xi and Ma will be meeting in their capacity as leaders of the two sides. He called it a pragmatic arrangement in line with the One China principle that shows the willingness of the two sides to push aside differences. It's the first meeting between top leaders across the Taiwan Strait since the civil war between the communists and the nationalists ended in 1949. In Taipei, the presidential office said the purpose of Ma's trip is to maintain the status quo. Presidential Office Secretary General Zhang Yongchuan said no agreements will be signed at this meeting and no joint statement will be issued. The two leaders will address each other as Mr., avoiding the awkward title of President since Beijing does not officially recognize Taiwan's sovereignty. They're expected to have dinner together afterwards. The United States has welcomed the historic meeting.
The benefits that stable and positive cross-strait ties have brought to both sides of the Taiwan Strait, the United States and the region, have been enormous. We encourage authorities in Beijing and Taipei to continue their constructive dialogue on the basis of dignity and respect.
But on the island, pro-independence protesters took to the streets to voice their concerns. Head of the opposition Democratic Progressive Party, Tsai Ing-wen, said a meeting of leaders across the strait is a great event, but that people were informed in such a hasty manner is damaging to Taiwan's democratic politics. She questioned the timing of the meeting, which comes just over 2 months ahead of the island's presidential election in January. The ruling Kuomintang is expected to lose the election. A researcher specializing in cross-strait relations believes the talks will set some sort of framework to ensure that even if the DPP comes to power, it will be hard for the new administration to make key structural changes to cross-strait relations. As for whether the meeting will boost the KMT's popularity in the election, the analyst says more factors need to be taken into account before any conclusive change in voter support could be seen. Diane To, TVB News.
Employees of 4 tunnels have threatened to go on strike over unsatisfactory salary hikes. They held a meeting with management today. Another round of talks has been scheduled for next Wednesday. The Lion Rock Tunnel, Cheongkwon-no Tunnel, Kai Tak Tunnel, and Shingmun Tunnels are operated by the same company. Michael Church, chairman of the Hong Kong Tunnel and Highway Employees General Union, says staff members are not happy with a lack of transparency within the firm. He says pay hikes are usually based on the employees' performance appraisals, but no appraisals were conducted this time round, so they are not sure what their raise is based on. The pay hikes announced in August ranged from 2 to 3%. The staff side is demanding a 5% raise plus bonus. Another local resident has successfully applied for legal aid for a judicial review against plans to build a 3rd runway at the airport. A university student argued the airport authority had bypassed the Legislative Council in coming up with a financing plan for the project. She also accused the authority of imposing an airport construction fee on travelers. A tentative court hearing is set for March next year. The airport authority refused to comment, citing ongoing legal proceedings. Russia's foreign ministry said yesterday Moscow does not see keeping Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in power as a matter of principle. The comment comes after talks in Vienna failed to reach an agreement on Assad. The U.S. insists any diplomatic solution must take Assad out of the picture. Alan Buchner reports.
The comments by a Russian foreign ministry spokeswoman suggest a divergence of opinion with Iran, Assad's other main backer. Maria Zakharova said on Russian television that Moscow never insisted Assad has to go or stay. Russia and Iran have been pushing for the Syrian people to elect their own president. That idea has been met with skepticism in the West, since millions of anti-Assad citizens have fled the country seeking refuge. In Washington, a U.S. State Department spokeswoman called it premature to invite Syrian opposition groups to the international talks. This comes after reports that members of the splintered opposition will be in Moscow for a meeting later this week.
We thought there was a good start in Vienna. The stakeholders came around the table, including Russia. We believe that as we continue to work through the dynamics of what was agreed in Vienna, that there will come a time. We think it's premature before the Vienna group meets again.
Meanwhile, 2 human rights groups monitoring the events in Syria say the month-old Russian bombardment by its fighter jets has killed more civilians than Islamic State militants. The observatory said it's confirmed 185 civilian deaths in Russian strikes, compared with 131 IS fighters. A Russian military spokesman rejected the allegations, calling them a propaganda campaign. Alan Buchner, TVB News.
Hong Kong has issued an amber outbound travel alert for the Maldives. This comes after the government of the island country declared a state of emergency today. The Hong Kong government advised those planning to travel to the Maldives or are already there to exercise caution and avoid protests or large gatherings. Here's Sonia Artero with more on why the state of emergency is in effect.
The president of the Maldives has declared a state of emergency that will curtail key rights of citizens for 30 days. This follows the discovery of an explosive device apparently targeting the Indian Ocean nation's president. The device was found earlier this week in a parked vehicle near President Abdullah Yamin's official residence. Yamin does not live there but uses the building frequently for meetings. The country's vice president, Ahmed Adib, is being held for questioning over an alleged assassination attempt. In late September, when Yamin returned home after a Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca, an explosion occurred while he was taking a boat from the airport to the capital city. Yamin escaped unhurt, but his wife and 2 aides were injured. The vice president was arrested but insists he had nothing to do with the explosion. One of 9 suspects arrested in connection with the explosion was taken into custody in Sri Lanka. 18-year-old Ahmed Ashraf is a self-declared supporter of the arrested vice president. The FBI, which investigated the blast at the Maldives' request, said it found no evidence that a bomb had caused the boat explosion. Instead, specimens submitted for its analysis were determined to be components from the boat. Sonia Artero, TVB News.
Ash spewed by a volcano has forced authorities in Indonesia to shut down a number of airports. Among them is the airport in Bali, and that's resulted in the cancellation of hundreds of flights. In all, thousands of tourists are stranded on 3 Indonesian islands after ash from Mount Rinjani blanketed towns and villages. The volcano, located on Lombok Island, has been blasting ash and debris 3,500 meters into the air. Here at Bali's airport, many travelers complained about a lack of information on their delayed flights. Some were sleeping on benches inside terminals. It's among about 130 active volcanoes in Indonesia. Crash investigators are preparing to analyze the black boxes from the Russian passenger jet that crashed last Saturday in Egypt, killing all 224 people on board. But as clues to the disaster begin to emerge, conflicting reports continue to hang over the investigation. James Aiken reports.
Drone video reveals the extent of the wreckage and the magnitude of the task investigators face as they attempt to piece together the final moments of the Metrojet Airbus A321. The remains of the last 28 people aboard the doomed airliner have been sent to Russia for identification. Investigators are now turning their full attention to the cause of the crash. At a briefing, Russia's emergency situations minister said the site should be studied centimeter by centimeter. Today, the search area was expanded to 40 square kilometers. A joint investigation team is also preparing to analyze the plane's flight data and cockpit voice recorders, which are said to be in good condition. Meanwhile, Egypt's Civil Aviation Ministry said there are no facts to substantiate earlier Russian assertions that the plane broke up in mid-air. Egypt has confirmed that no distress call had been received before the crash, but the absence of a distress call, in addition to the widely scattered wreckage, suggests a sudden breakup to experts. Among the theories being floated is a possible structural failure, something the wife of the plane's co-pilot already suspects. In an interview with Russian TV, Natalia Trukacheva said her husband Sergei had complained about the technical condition of the aircraft. Adding to the mystery, U.S. officials say American satellite systems detected heat around the aircraft before it crashed. The infrared activity could mean many things, including a catastrophic explosion caused by a bomb or a malfunctioning engine. The Metrojet flight was leaving an Egyptian sea resort bound for St. Petersburg, Russia, when it crashed in the Sinai Peninsula. All but 5 of the victims were Russian. James Aiken, TVB News.
Divisions